Today's lesson is on equivalent fractions and division. Students will find equivalent fractions using division and reduce fractions. So let's get started by naming these equivalent fractions. So if we look at this first one, we can see that we have 2/4. We can also see that we have 3/6. We can see that we have 4/8. And we can see that we have 5/10. Now we're going to group the shaded and unshaded parts by circling them. So let's start with the shaded part. So we're going to circle this shaded part on each of them. Then I'm going to use another different color and we're going to circle the unshaded parts on each of them. So now that all the drawings that we have here represent 1/2. We have half of the unshaded, half shaded, half unshaded, half shaded on each of these pictures. So are 1/2 and 2/4 then equivalent? Are 3/6 and 1/2 equivalent? Are 4/8 and 1/2 equivalent? And are 5/10 and 1/2 equivalent? Remember that equivalent means the same or equal to. Well, let's dive into this a little bit deeper. So here we have this fraction here, and what fraction is shaded? So if I group all the shaded parts together and all the unshaded parts together, then I'll have two equal parts. So we have shaded, and we also have unshaded. Each part has 4 blocks in it. So the fraction of the whole that is shaded here is 1/2. Now, if I erased this dotted line, and it looks like this, then what fraction do I have? Well, then I would have 2/4. So from this picture, we can see that we have equivalent fractions, meaning the same. So we can see that we have 4/8 right here, which is equal to 2/4, which is equal to 1/2. So we can say that all of these equations are equivalent or the same. So we can make equivalent fractions from the same picture. Here's some equivalent fractions examples for you to work through on your whiteboard. So I want you to imagine erasing the broken line. So let's do A together before you move on. So if we look at A, we have in this first circle, we have 2/4, which is telling us that 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Now I want you to do B, C, and D on your whiteboards, and then you're going to continue on with your screencast. So let's use division to write an equivalent fraction. How many parts do I have to group together to get 3 parts for the whole? So if I want just 3 parts for the whole rather than 6, how many do I have to group together? So let's think of this as 6 divided by what? That's a question mark, equals 3. Let's make this actually look like a question mark so it doesn't get confusing. So 6 divided by what is equal to 3? Well, we know that 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. So if I group this into 3 parts, like this, are 2 of those parts shaded? Yes, they are. So let's look at the circle down below. We can say that 4/6, up here we have 4/6, is also equivalent to 2/3. So what I did was I divided this by 2, which gave me 3. Remember from before, what you do to the top or do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. So we can say that 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3. Now, here's some exercises for you to do on your whiteboard. You're going to divide to find the missing numerator. Let's do A together. So think of it in terms of 15 divided by what is going to give me 5? Well, 15 divided by 3 is going to give you 5. We can check this by thinking in terms of multiplication and turning it around. We know that 5 times 3 is equal to 15. So that's how we know we're right. Now 3, if what we do to the top we do to the bottom, so 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1. So we can say that 3/15 is equal to or equivalent to 1/5. I want you to do B, C, and D on your whiteboards, and then I want you to give the bonus a try down below. When you're done, you're going to resume your screencast. So that's it for today's lesson. You are going to work through your assignment in your Jump Math book from pages 157 to 158, checking in with me when you are all complete.